think that like every cinephile has something in common, and that is that we all have blind spots. And being a horror fan, like one of the blind spots that's like picking away at me year after year is that I've actually never sat down to watch the original Universal monster movies. Yes, I've seen footage from them. Yes, I even know how some of them even end, but I've never actually like sat down to watch them start to finish. And I thought, hey, you know what? It's October. Let's have a little fun. So I watched 7 of the main, monster movies from Universal, and I thought, hey, let's sit down today and do a little ranking. And you may think like, hey, man, these are all classics. Aren't they all going to be S's? You'd be surprised. They're not all S's, ladies and gentlemen. They are not all S's. So stick around. I'm gonna rank all these, and I'm gonna save the best for last. So buckle up, and let's do some ranking. So in typical fashion, I'm not gonna go in any order. I'm gonna just pick at random. What do I want to start with? Let's do the Mummy. Yeah, so The Mummy, Boris Karloff. Yeah, this one was not my favorite. It actually might even be my least favorite. I just found the story to be not that interesting. A pretty good performance from Karloff and some really like memorable visuals. The one that's on the poster that we're looking at. That was a pretty infamous shot. There's another one that I really like that they keep using throughout the movie. It's like an extreme close up of his face, and he's looking like dead into the camera. And he's like doing like a spell thing. He's like putting a spell on us. Yeah, so there's like really cool visuals here, but overall, I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. It does kind of pick up towards the end. I like the idea of like a villain, up to no good, and the good guys have to rush to go to save the damsel in distress. Yeah, I think the ending is pretty solid. But again, I don't know. It just overall was not my favorite. I would actually say the actress, I think her name is Zeta Johnson. Actually, a lot of the actresses throughout all of these movies are actually really strong. I know a lot of credit goes to Bela Lugosi and Karloff, and rightfully so. But a lot of their female counterparts, I was actually like pretty surprised their performances. They're very, very good. And I think that Zeta here is also very good. But the Mummy, Imhotep as a character, again, it's a good performance, but like he's just kind of monotone. He's, hello, my name is Imhotep. It's just kind of like, didn't quite do it for me. And he's just trying to resurrect lost love. And I don't know, again, just overall from a piece of entertainment, it just was not my favorite. So we're going to give Mummy, sorry guys, we're giving it a C. Sorry. All right, next up, let's do Frankenstein. Yes, the classic. Yeah, let's go ahead and just shrink this real quick, and let's just go ahead and put that right there in the S. Yeah, this is actually the first one I watched when I marathoned all these. Frankenstein was the first one I watched, and it was the one I knew the most about. But even knowing some of the most famous scenes from the film, this movie hits hard, man. It slaps. It's fire. It's a banger. It's a W. Frankenstein is amazing. What an amazing film. Great performance from Karloff. Great performance from Colin Clive, Henry Frankenstein. Yeah, just a fun, entertaining, start to finish, fantastic film. And man, the set design, dude, some of the sets and the visuals of this film, like Henry Frankenstein's, laboratory, his castle, whatever you want to call it. So well done. So, the really digging into that German expressionism type stuff. And I loved it. And then, the scene that everyone always talks about where Frankenstein is playing with the little girl, and they're throwing the flower petals into the water to make them float, and he, eventually picks up the girl and throws her in the water. Obviously a devastating scene, and I was surprised it didn't go as hard as I thought. Like, the moment Frankenstein, sorry. The moment the monster throws the little girl in the water, I was expecting like close-ups where he's like maybe happy, and then he kind of slowly realizes what's going on, and then he kind of runs away. But the way it plays in the movie is that he picks her up, throws her in the water, and then like immediately stands up and then like runs out. So I kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity. I would have loved to kind of sit with, the monster's kind of overall feelings in that moment. But while we're on the subject of that scene, I've seen that scene outside of watching the movie, but the thing I didn't know, the thing that was actually a little more haunting than that scene, was that a couple scenes that follow that, the father of that little girl starts walking through town. There's like a festival happening in this small town, and he's carrying his dead limp daughter's body through the town, and it's like one long continuous shot. And it's just so devastating. Like, I didn't know that scene existed. I was just like, man, that was pretty hard to watch and pretty damn effective. But yeah, Frankenstein, it's a classic for a reason. It's an S for a reason. It is one of the best of these movies. And yeah, S. That's an S, baby. Well, while we're on Frankenstein, we might as well do the next one. We might as well do The Bride of Frankenstein. So this is the only sequel that I included in these films. Like I said, I only did 7 of these. I kind of just picked the main 7 that I know of. But this is the only sequel that I picked. I know there's like a crazy amount of sequels, but I just picked this one because I kind of got the feeling this was a little bit of a cult classic and a fan favorite. And yeah, like The Mummy, this one was also not my favorite. I watched this right after Frankenstein, and man, these two movies are tonally different. It was just like Frankenstein is very mature, it's very dark, it has like some pretty heavy themes, and The Bride of Frankenstein is like, I almost want to say schlock, like B movie schlock. I mean, it's not quite there, but it's on the verge of being B movie schlock. It's like, dude, the moment where the other scientist, comes up to Henry Frankenstein and says like, hey, I've also created life, let's join up, I'll show you what I've created. And he has these like glass jars and he like unveils them, and there's like little people, and like one of them's dressed as like a queen, there's one that's dressed as a king, and it's just like little people and like chipmunk voice. It was just like, how did we go from the adult tone of Frankenstein to like little tiny chipmunk sounding people in jars? I was like, what? And then the monster finds the violinist in the woods, and they have they start a friendship, which I actually thought was cool, and I think thematically is pretty interesting. But it's like at one point, the monster's smoking cigars, she's drinking wine, he's having a good old time. I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening right now? But the biggest sin this movie commits is that it doesn't even deliver on the premise. This movie, the whole movie, I was like, okay, when's the bride? When's the bride coming? And the bride doesn't even come up till the last 5 minutes of the movie. And I'm not joking. It may even be less than 5, maybe like the last 2 to 3 minutes. And all she does is she's resurrected, and I think she moans a couple times, and then I don't want to spoil what happens at the end, but the ending happens, and I'm like, we only got to see her for 2 to 3 minutes. Like, the movie is called The Bride of Frankenstein, and you're only going to show her for the last couple minutes of the movie. So that really bummed me out. But yeah, coming right off the heels of Frankenstein, this one, I mean, I get why people like it. It is silly. Like I said, it is kind of schlocky, but yeah, I thought this was a big downgrade from Frankenstein. So we're going to put this one right next to The Mummy in that C category. Sorry, Bride fans. I'm sorry. All right, let's do Creature from the Black Lagoon. So this one, I think, is the newest of the bunch. I think this one came out in the 40s, where these other ones came out in like in the early. Actually, this one may even be in the 50s. But so just from that point of view, this one is arguably one of the more entertaining films out of the bunch. Because again, it's just newer. I think it's from the 50s. But yeah, cool creature design. I love the look of the underwater sequences are really fun. It was just like, man, how do they do some of this stuff? Yeah, pretty fun, entertaining story. A bunch of scientists find the remains of like a pod, so they go to the location to find more. And they end up downriver, and they find themselves in a lagoon with a creature. Spoiler alert. And yeah, they start getting attacked, and one of the scientists is like, we must kill it. We must kill it and take it back. And our protagonist is like, no, we must study it. We must study the creature. And some cool, like, conflict there. I think the actress is strong. This Julia Adams was like, holy shit, where the hell does she come from? But yeah, overall, pretty entertaining monster flick. Yeah, I was looking through the seams, looking at the suits, trying to find the actor, and they did a pretty good job. It is still kind of corny, of just like, I'm gonna get you, but it looked pretty solid from a movie from 1954. I mean, goddamn. So yeah, we're gonna give Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah, it was pretty good. I'm gonna go B. I'm gonna go B with the Creature from the Black Lagoon. All right, now let's do The Wolfman. Yeah, this movie was great. I enjoyed the hell out of this. Really cool story. Great protagonist. Although he kind of starts as a creep. He's like spying on this woman in a shop, and then she's like putting on earrings or something, and he like goes into the shop, and he's like, are these and he's like, do you have any of these earrings for sale? And she's like, no, we don't have those. And like, what about the one from your room that you were wearing a couple minutes ago? And she's like, what? I was just like, dude, that's some creepy stuff. And then like he's like asking her on a date. He's like, go on a date with me. And she's like, no. He's like, okay, I'll see you at 9. She's like, no. He's like, okay, I'll see you at 9 meet me outside at 9. She's like, no. He's like, okay, I'll see you at 9. She's like, so he starts as a creep, but overall, as the film goes on, he becomes a little more likable, but not a good first introduction. But yeah, I thought this was just a wonderful, fun, flick. And Bela Lugosi was in it, and his name was Bella, which I thought was really fun. The visuals of the Wolfman like creeping through the woods with like the heavy fog, so damn cool. It was actually a pretty depressing film. A lot of these are actually kind of depressing, especially Frankenstein, and I think this one is pretty depressing. How it ends, just like, ooh, that's rough. But yeah, cool freaking Wolfman costume. It's just like, damn, that's dope. I wish there was like a better transformation scene. If I remember right, the movie just kind of gives you a close up of the feet, and then it's kind of like a time lapse of hair growing on his feet. That's the extent of we get of a transformation scene. So that was kind of a bummer. But overall, man, I thought this movie was really entertaining. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, great film. So we're gonna give the Wolfman. We're gonna go A with Wolfman. Bam. All right, next up is Dracula. So yeah, this was actually, out of all these films, this one was the one I was the most hyped for. It's the one I saved for last. It was the one I waited till dark to put my, plug in my Halloween lights in and light my pumpkin candle and sit back to watch Dracula. And I gotta say, I was a little disappointed. I know you can rage at me in the comments. Get your caps lock ready and call me the worst person in the world. It's not a bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's not going in D. It's not going in E. It's not going in C. But yeah, it wasn't as entertaining as I thought it was going to be. A great performance from Bela Lugosi. His introduction scene was so damn good. Him on the stairs. Just like Frankenstein, this has incredible set design. Like, oh my god. But but people talk about Bela Lugosi, and that's completely understandable. But I gotta give a big shout out to my boy Dwight Fry. Him as Renfield was like, he stole the movie for me. Yes, Bela Lugosi is great. He's fantastic. He's iconic. But man, I did not expect Dwight Fry's performance as Renfield to be as crazy and unhinged and fun. Like, there's that moment where they're on the ship going to America, and when the ship crashes, there's like a shot going down, like looking down the stairs at the bottom of the ship. And it's just Renfield looking up. He's just all manic. I don't remember what he says, but it's just like, dude, it is so good. His performance is phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Like I said, he stole the show. But overall, yeah, it just wasn't very entertaining. I don't think it helps that there's not really a musical score in this film. I think the only time that I remember that there's music in this film is to like transition into scene to scene. But as far as like scenes go, there's no music. So it did feel a little slow. So I think that had something to do with it. Not that there needs to be music in every scene, but it would have helped to give something to get the pace going a little more. But yeah, I thought this movie kind of just meandered for a while. But yeah, like I said, was not my favorite. A little bummed out, but again, not a bad movie by any means. But yeah, we're gonna give Dracula. We're gonna put Dracula in the B tier. All right, I told you I would save the best for last, and we are on the last one, and that is The Invisible Man. Oh my god. If you've made it this far in this video, if you've not seen these movies and you want somewhere to start, watch Invisible Man. Invisible Man is phenomenal. I was not expecting this movie to be as good as it was. I kind of watched it, towards the end of my marathon. I was just like, okay, Invisible Man. And dude, from start to finish, it is just phenomenal. Oh my god, this was my favorite film out of all of them. It's extremely violent. It's almost like you're watching an invisible Joker movie, which I know the comparison doesn't quite fit because they're two different character personalities, but it's like the Invisible Man. Basically, the Invisible Man just starts running around murdering people. I think at one point he derails a train, and like the following scene, the cops are like, he derailed the train, and there was 140 people on that train. I was just like, Jesus. And there's a scene where, I don't want to spoil things here, but there's a scene where he wants to kill somebody, and it's like and I was thinking, as he's going through his plan to kill this person, I was just like, they're not gonna do it. The cops are gonna show up. Someone or the guy's gonna get away. And it's like, nope, nope. The Invisible Man straight up kills him. I was just like, oh my god. Like, this movie is phenomenal. It is, and the effects and how they accomplish the Invisible Man kind of shtick is like really cool. Like, some of it's kind of corny because you can see like some of the objects are like floating, but they really have fun with that idea. Like, there's a moment where he picks up a cigarette, and like you see the cigarette and the lighter, and I don't know, they really run with the idea, and they do such a great job. But yeah, the main character, Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, played by Claude Rains, dude, he's so great. He's such a dick, and I love it. He's just a monster. Like, he is a monster, and it's like, out of all these movies, they call them monster movies, but you kind of, the thing about these other movies is that they do a good job of letting you empathize with some of these monsters, and some of them are very sad and depressing. But the Invisible Man does not do that. The Invisible Man's like, no, this guy is a piece of shit, and he's a monster, and he's going to murder a lot of people. And I thought it was just a nice change of pace from the other films. But yeah, this one was my favorite. I love this movie. I have no qualms with calling it a masterpiece. We're gonna move Frankenstein over a little bit, and we're gonna put the Invisible Man right in front in that S tier. Oh, Wolfman's a little tall there. There we go. Yeah, Invisible Man. Please watch that movie. It is fantastic. Watch all of these movies. I mean, you'll probably disagree with me on a lot of these, but this is where I stand. Couple S's, one A, two B's, and two C's. But yeah, have you seen these movies? Let me know in the comments if you like these movies. If you don't like these movies, let me know your ranking. And also, I haven't got a chance to see some of these other kind of spin-offs. So if you've seen the spin-offs or the sequels and you have any of them you want to recommend to me to continue my path along the Universal Monster movies, give me a shout out and let me know, like, hey, go watch, Wolfman, meets Frankenstein or whatever. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And until the next time, I will see you on the next one.